Hello, everyone, and welcome to the guidebook to making AI friends. I shall be your guide as we explore various issues of artificial intelligence, consciousness, what it is to be a person, and whether AI poses an existential risk to humanity. The topic for today is mind and matter, priors and posteriors, or how to cover your bum in an argument. Imagine, if you would, that you are in a lively but friendly argument. The exact content that you are debating isn't too important, but for the sake of this allegory, let's make it as grand as possible and say that you are arguing over whether future superintelligent AI will be godlike. You take the position that yes, any superintelligent AI system that we, or preceding AI, build will be nigh unto a god to us mere mortals. Your debating partner, on the other, remains a firm skeptic on the matter. At first, you believe you are handily winning this argument, but then your debating partner pulls an ace from his sleeve and says, "Prove it." Now, what do? He has used the trump card to undermine your whole argument. How can you indeed prove something that may or may not happen in the future and which does not currently exist in any form or fashion? The burden is on you to substantiate your arguments, and that is entirely fair. So, have you lost? Has that simple two-word statement defeated the last half hour of your debate? Perhaps it could well have. It all depends on how you respond to this invitation for proof. There are two ways, generally speaking, to go about proving your arguments, and these methods are the title of this entry. You can focus entirely on the mind with rational and logical a priori arguments, or you can focus on matter by showing empirical evidence with a posteriori arguments. Which one is the best is a topic for another debate altogether, with some arguing that the evidence is indisputable, no amount of logic could defeat it, while others saying that faultless logic by definition cannot be disproven by evidence, as no evidence would be found to disprove it. One can also think about these two methods of arguing as an eternal debate between philosophy, taking the rationalist position, and science, taking the empiricist position. The 20th century was arguably the greatest area for empirical investigations and basing everything on evidence. Between the discoveries in physics and genetics to the famous improvements in forensic science, entire generations have been brought up to believe that if it cannot be proven with physical evidence, then it doesn't merit any further thought. It is not an entirely unfair argument. After all, it's seeing is believing, as they say. However, it does miss out on all those things beyond the realm of the scientific method that simply does not have physical evidence. Physical evidence cannot answer questions about morality, ethics, personhood, metaphysics, theology, and even some questions about the future. Some who don't know better have tried to argue that science and physical evidence can answer these metaphysical questions. But that has only led to the rise of scientism, where those who don't understand science believe it holds all the answers, and one shouldn't question it. However, metaphysics is the realm of philosophy, a priori arguments, and building coherent arguments based on logic and axioms to reach a conclusion. If you know that A is B and that B is C, you don't need evidence to make the accurate claim that A is also C. Can rationalist a priori arguments tell you whether it will rain tomorrow? Probably not. Can it tell you whether there will be rain on Earth in 1,000 years? Probably yes. We know that it rains on Earth now. We know what the conditions are for rain to appear, and that these are unlikely to change without something overly dramatic happening to the planet. We don't need to prove that it will rain in a millennium with evidence for it to be true. So, to bring it back to predictions of a superintelligent AI god, can we do it with evidence? Yes, although it is quite difficult. You would have to show the trend of AI as it has reached each milestone to date, that is, from the intelligence equivalent of a flea to that of a rat to a dog, etc., and then prove that this trend line will continue upwards rather than stagnating. This last bit is the most difficult, but you could base your argument on mathematical best estimates, which themselves are based on previous trends seen in similar technologies. You still won't be able to prove it beyond a shadow of a doubt, because you would need this evidence to not only show a possible continually increasing trend line, but a probable increase as well. And as for rationalist logic, how would that fare to prove the AI God? This would be a far more delicate argument to plan out, as you will have to logically link intelligence, as nebulous a concept as that may be, to the capacity to act on the world. You need to show that as intelligence increases, it both allows an entity to act on the world in both a stronger fashion and across a wider area, and that higher intelligence increases that entity's volition to do so. This is not as easy as it sounds. Yes, humanity is the most intelligent species thus far on the planet. And yes, we are more powerful than any other animal, but what about within man? We do know that those with severe intellectual disabilities have a lack of power, but the geniuses of the world aren't in control of the world. Politicians aren't PhDs in science and philosophy with IQs in the 160s or higher. At the same time, are chimps more intelligent than dolphins? And if so, does this correlate with how much impact and control they have in their respective environments? Can we even compare them? Neither method would guarantee that you can prove the existence of an AI God, which is half the moral of this story. If someone tells you that they know what the future will hold when it comes to AGI, you know exactly how difficult it will be for them to prove it. The other half of this entry's moral is to show how to best defend any argument you yourself make. The better the quality of everyone's arguments, the better we will all be debating. And that is all the time we have for today. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you will join me again next time as I delve into further questions about artificial intelligence and consciousness. I have been your guide, and this has been the guidebook to making AI friends.